It's tea break time again. It's the lockdown, and if you're still working from home, look, have a cup of tea. Watch this video. It's only 10 minutes long. I got my mug today. It says "Living the Dream," different mug every day. My two guests are on. One is Rory McDonald, CEO of Made Tech, and Helen Wright, the Director of Corporate Affairs from 13. What mugs have you got?
I've gone for a tractor mug.
And what have you gone for?
I've gone for a tractor mug as well.
My goodness me, that is a coincidence. And you're miles apart. One of you's in Teesside. Where are you, in London?
Yeah, I'm in South East London.
Right, so bizarre. There's hardly any tractors in the middle of Teesside or South East London, so I get the sense that you're begging for a country location in your later years. Anyway, listen, thank you for joining me. We wanted to talk today on the tea break chat about how tech can engage with the public, particularly during this period of lockdown and during the pandemic. Helen, at 13, you have tens of thousands of tenants and customers that use your services. How have you developed your tech so that they can engage with you differently this year?
I think one of the main things for us to mention is a new platform we have called My13. And this is it's a fabulous platform for all of our customers, but equally for new customers to us as well. So people can engage with us on there and set up an account and look for properties to rent. But equally, people can do a lot to manage their own account on there. So they can look at their rent statement, they can make payments, they can book repairs online. And this has proved to be really, really important to us, especially throughout the lockdown period. Another thing that we've invested in quite heavily is a new contact centre solution, so that our contact team there's kind of no interruption of service, but that helps them manage calls and emails that are coming in as well. So this whole thing actually is based around a concept that we've called touch points. It's a key part of one of our strategic objectives. So this is around kind of giving customers the idea that no matter how or where they come into contact with us, they get that same great level of service.
And Helen, are the records that you generate as a result of these inquiries all digitised?
Records that we create are digitised, but it's all perfectly safe and secure, and we obviously follow all GDPR guidelines. But customers, what's great about this is that customers can manage their own account. It's not them having to come to us for everything. Equally, from a colleague perspective as well, it makes things a lot more efficient for staff in the background, being able to deal with customers and really give them that great customer experience.
And when the men and women of your maintenance teams might go out because someone's gone on their phone and reported a leak or some problem in the house, not that your houses have any problems, I'm sure, but they go out and they make a repair. Are the people that are going out, do they have laptops or mobile devices where everything is joined up?
Yeah, one of the things, again, just to use the words invested quite heavily in, is a lot of kit for colleagues, for staff. So our people on the front line all have the correct handheld device for the kind of task that they're carrying out. So the teams in our sort of housing services out and about in neighbourhoods have specific kit. And our operatives that are going out and about delivering those repairs have kits so that they can get jobs through onto those. They can check customer satisfaction using those. So there needs to be kind of no direct contact, but all of those can be put into a central database for us.
And a lot of this is quite new. It's been advanced through the pandemic, hasn't it?
My13 was something that was already in train, as was our new contact centre solution. But there are certain things internally that I would say have really moved us forward. When it came to the pandemic, we'd already moved towards agile working for a lot of colleagues. Now, this can't be done for every job. Obviously, we've been talking about tradespeople, our plumbers, our operatives. We run a lot of support services as well. So there are colleagues out there working in specific schemes to help support people.
Rory, you've heard how 13 Housing's deploying its online platforms, but I know you've been working with central government on all sorts of projects, and I know that central government have digitised at a pace this year. Now, without disclosing the projects you've worked on, what kind of things stand out to you as the kind of things that government has digitised throughout 2020?
Yeah, so I think a number of years ago, kind of the government started this initiative, which was Digital by Default, which was about trying to make the interactions citizens have with government digitally first. And I guess over the years, there's been some really great progress made around effectively kind of turning paper-based processes into digital processes, and that's great. But what we're kind of starting to see now is organizations and parts of kind of central government starting to think kind of digitally native and thinking about actually how can we, rather than just translate a paper process to a digital process, how can we actually make this thing digital at core? And things like kind of digital driving licenses and things like that are starting to develop and appear. And I think that we're going to see more and more of that moving forward.
Yeah, and this year there have been new initiatives. The HMRC have had schemes that have rolled out. We've had schemes rolling out with the Department of Health. Now, some have been more successful than others, giving you anecdotal evidence. As a small business that needed to get furlough payments, extremely smooth, very, very effective. I know colleagues who are self-employed who found the self-employed payments effective as well. Test and trace has had its critics, although I've just had someone return to work today who was tested yesterday and had a text saying he was negative today. So that seemed to work quite well. And the interaction is not just web-based, it's social and it's also text-based.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think there's different. Government needs to serve all of society, and certain users are very comfortable using kind of digital channels, but there also needs to be kind of other touch points, and making sure that everyone is included and everyone is served. And I think that's a kind of big part of what's been happening across service delivery across government.
I think one of the things that's worked really well for us, touching on social media side of things, is we run quite a range of support services. We run things like money advice and employability services, which have been really, really key, obviously, over the last few months. And we've moved to do things like employability, Facebook Live sessions, and those kinds of things so that people can still have that real engagement with the team. We have a store actually in sort of one of our core towns, which is still open on an appointment only basis. So people can now go in there and access that service, but obviously within there it's quite limited. So things like social media have proved to be really, really key for some of our service delivery, because we've been continuing right through the pandemic to get people back into work.
I suppose this is important to blend the digital and the sort of real in-person service. I know of several people in my own life who are digitally deprived, not just because they're older, but also I know someone who has a mental illness and doesn't actually engage digitally. So you have to make sure that whatever platforms you're working on, they can be used by others as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So like accessibility of kind of digital services is really, really important. And I know lots of the work we do, we have to engage with a variety of different kind of users who may have kind of different disabilities or may have particular restrictions that mean they have to approach things in a particular way. And I think, as someone who's making services for citizens, I think it's really important to always be thinking about how you are being inclusive and how you making sure services are able to meet everyone's needs, right? Government services are really about, it's not just a small proportion of society we're trying to serve here, it's everyone. And therefore services need to be truly inclusive and being able to be used by everyone.
Now, your company really illustrates the pace of change in government thinking, because you're primarily dealing with public-facing organisations. Are you having to scale up to meet demand?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, more and more kind of delivery of services is becoming digital first. And for us as an organization, there's more and more work required and more and more areas for us to move into and kind of support kind of the public sector in delivery.
So how are you growing? Tell us about the data. How much are you growing?
Yeah, so we're growing. We've been growing about, I think, just over 90% in the last year. We've hired, I've lost count of the number of people we've hired into our business over the last year. So our business, I think over the last 3 years, about 80-90% year on year. So big growth for our organization, not a change. And we foresee that continuing moving forward.
And I know you're splitting the locations, so you're not just in London, you're also around the country. So we like that, don't we, Helen?
We certainly do like that. Thanks, Rory.
Rory, Helen, thank you for talking to me. Tea break's over, I'm afraid. Back to work on lockdown. It's our regular tea break chats. Follow another one next time. And Rory and Helen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.